Hi, I'm Zoe, and today I wanted to talk about limiting beliefs, how they can stop us living the life we truly desire, um, and ways we can overcome these limiting beliefs so we can really step into our authentic selves and live a life of freedom and purpose and also self-agency. I think a lot of us are looking towards that. Also, at the end of this video, I will guide us through a short freedom and success visualization to help us adapt our nervous system and anchor in a new belief. So, a limiting belief is a deeply held assumption about yourself, others, or the world that influences what you think is possible. It can be beliefs such as I'm not good enough, smart enough, attractive enough, for this person, this career, any kind of thing. One of mine was that it's not safe to be seen or heard. So this really prevented me from starting a YouTube channel for ages. I was thinking about doing it, but I was so scared. But eventually moved through that. But this kind of, belief, it can feel scary to put yourself out there because, we're scared of, being judged or bullied, or it can even stem from like a witch wound. I think there may be a lot of us who kind of have this witch wound where in a previous life we would have been persecuted for really showing who we are and the different gifts and talents that we might have, especially if there are things to do with, divinity practices or stuff like that. Um, that is getting better nowadays, and people are putting themselves out there more, and places like YouTube are a great place to do that, and you can kind of see how many more people now are kind of shifting their direction, shifting their frequency, because they're starting to not feel as scared, which I think is a great thing. But a lot of our limiting beliefs do come from childhood as well, through trauma or rejection. Um, but the limiting beliefs that we do have kind of do influence our behavior, so it can stop you taking risks and allowing yourself to be noticed. You end up shrinking yourself to fit in, and this stops you moving towards a life you truly want, as deep down you want to feel safe and secure. So that feeling of wanting to feel safe and secure can kind of keep us stuck. We are programmed from a young age to fit in, to follow rules and structures, and our uniqueness is not usually celebrated. We are programmed, to overwork, achieve, and compete to climb to the top position in our careers. And then we compare ourselves to others and feel we need to be like them. I must have this in my life, to be someone or be somewhere. So, to overcome limiting beliefs, you need to know what these are. So, you may have buried them quite deeply. So, really take some time to kind of recognize what these might be. One exercise I found useful was to get a piece of paper, do a line down the middle, and on one side, write down what I believe, what I believe to be true. Um, for example, it's not safe to be fully seen. And then on the other side, kind of reframe this to something like, I am safe to be me. List any beliefs that come to mind. It can be hard because it's about getting fully honest with yourself. So don't feel the need to rush this process. Your beliefs have been a part of you for so long, and to rewire your brain, it really takes time and effort. So try and recognize any negative self-talk. For example, I'm not good enough. This can be thinking you're not good enough for a person, a certain job, anything. And then try and change this, to, whatever the kind of the opposite is, like, I am worthy of a beautiful relationship, or I am worthy of a fulfilling career. Because it really is the beliefs that kind of shape, what you are willing to do about your life. Because if you believe, that you're not worthy of this fulfilling career, you're not going to make any steps towards getting, that fulfilling career. So, limiting beliefs can be recognized by patterns that keep repeating in your life, as this is a lesson that is trying to teach you something. For example, if you keep having relationships that don't work out, and you may be treated badly, this could be because you don't fully love yourself and your self-worth is quite low. So you end up you keep attracting these types of relationships until you recognize the pattern. Once it is recognized, it's great to start working on self-love and self-worth if this is one of your patterns. Your beliefs are so powerful in shaping who you are and the life you live. So rather than feeling you need a person to give you love, start working on yourself. Talk kindly and lovingly to yourself as you would to, a best friend. If you have a child, to your child, you wouldn't speak to them the way you speak to yourself. It may feel uncomfortable, as it did for me when I first started. Um, you know, I've been doing it for a while now, but I did feel really uncomfortable doing it. But it is so important to feel you are worthy and deserving of beautiful love, and it really does start within. So some things you can do is, if you're in the mirror in the morning, when you're, doing your makeup, brushing your teeth, whatever it is, just start saying some kind things to yourself, even telling yourself, I love you, I love you. This could be very powerful. You've got to start rewiring that brain. And the more you say it, the more you believe it, even if at first you don't feel you do. You can kind of repetition does help. We place so much of our worth and value by what other people say to us, or how we feel validated by others. But this is, giving your power away. We do this from a young age, where we want to please our parents or teachers. And we only get recognized if we do something that pleases them. We're told off for being too much or too loud or too quiet. So over time, we lose our identity to, fit in and people please. We can also pick up bad habits as well, because of our beliefs. We could drink, overwork, doom scroll, or we over obsess about the past or the future of what might happen. And this tends to keep us stuck and distracted, as we end up rather than moving forward, we end up staying in the familiar as it's what we've always known. So, even if that isn't the life that we truly want, we stay in it because deep down we fear the unknown. A lot of us do. And we are scared and resist shining too brightly and putting ourselves out there. A lot of us fear rejection, abandonment, or fear of success. We can't see our lives being better because of our beliefs. So, what can you do to change your life, to something that lights you up? First, you do have to recognize and witness your current beliefs you have now, and know that healing is cyclical. It isn't linear. It's not like one and done. So, as you shift and you change and you adopt better beliefs, different lessons will reveal other limiting beliefs that you didn't know you had. This happens for me a lot. So I think I've moved past a particular belief, and then a completely new one shows up. So obviously I had one of being, feeling that I shouldn't be seen or heard. And I thought, by putting myself out there that, I'd start to receive, a different life or, abundance or success, that kind of thing. Because I moved past that belief, I thought, yeah, I'm ready for this now. But lately I've been working on myself and realised I don't know what having wealth actually feels like. So I've kind of been in a mentality of not realising it, but that I don't deserve wealth. But it's also hard because if you've never had that kind of life, if you've never had a life where you've, had success or wealth, it's really hard to picture what that life would look like. So it's really hard. So, if we have a belief that if I succeed, people will leave, so that could be one, because as we change, people around us can start to feel uncomfortable. So we can prevent love or money coming in from fearing that if we get this thing, then I will be alone. But truly, success doesn't make people leave. It's insecurity that does. It's their insecurity, because it's like the more higher you're rising, even like your frequency, and you're doing like the self work, and then you realize people around you aren't doing the same. Sometimes this can make them feel uncomfortable, and it can bring other kind of things to the surface that you didn't realize were there. But yeah, it can feel quite uncomfortable, because your light is shining in a certain way that then makes other people kind of change, and then they show kind of certain aspects of themselves that are kind of lower frequency, and then you're not always reacting to the same stories that you used to react to, and this can kind of change the dynamics, and then people can get uncomfortable. And that's why a lot of us, as we're learning and changing and shifting and kind of becoming a different person, sometimes we then resist doing that or going further with it, and then we stop because it starts to feel uncomfortable. We're like, oh, we're going to outgrow these people, or they're no longer going to be in my life. But it's not, just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So, this is why we do end up keeping ourselves small. So, we end up protecting other people's feelings. But to live a life of self-agency and freedom, we need to move towards the resistance. So if you feel uncomfortable as you start being more selfish and putting yourself first, then you are moving in the right direction. The people meant for you will stay, even if that's just for a few chapters of your life. And the people who are meant to leave, they will leave, but they were there for the time they were meant to. Now, to help shift your mindset, we can do a visualization. So you can either sit down or close your eyes. And, if you have a journal, have that near. And if you have like a small object that makes you feel peace, like a stone or a crystal or anything, you can hold that whilst you do it. So, take a deep breath in through the nose. You can close your eyes or keep them open. It's up to you. Deep breath in, and then hold, and then release through the mouth. And just do this a few more times. And allow your body to feel supported beneath you. And as you're breathing, imagine roots extending from your body down to the earth. Now, with each exhale, release any tension. And with each inhale, draw in calm and clarity into your body. Now do a few more breaths. Now visualize yourself in your mind's eye, in your future environment. Really picture what your future environment is going to look like. Feel the air on your skin and feel the sun on your face. And whether you want to be near the sea, or you want to be near the trees, you want to be in another country on the sand, really place yourself in that new environment. Walk slowly in this space and touch any objects around you, whether that is a tree, whether that's putting your hand in the sea. Whatever it is that would really light you up and what you were dreaming of for your future. Let your body remember what calm and freedom feels like. Really see yourself living and being in flow, doing whatever you love. And just take a few more moments to visualize and imagine your senses in this new environment. If there's any smells you can smell, any sensations you can feel, anything you can hear in the background, whether that is the tree swaying or the ocean and the waves crashing against each other. Just really use this time to visualize this. Now you can affirm to yourself anything that would make you feel good. But here's a couple of affirmations you can say. My life can be calm, inspiring, and full of love. Now feel that in your body. And another one you could use. Abundance brings freedom, creativity, and joy. Now feel this in your body and let your nervous system record it as truth. Now take a few deep breaths. And bring your awareness back to your body and notice how your body feels. Does it feel lighter? Does it feel more at peace? And if you feel called, you could journal any thoughts or feelings that arise now. I hope this has helped in any way. There's also a book that I found quite helpful. It's called Intuitive Self-Healing, and it's by Marie Manuchehri. She has a YouTube channel as well. This is about, how you can achieve balance and wellness through the body's energy centers. So if you're like interested in chakras and meditations and stuff like this, there's really good body scanning here and teaches you and walks you through how to do it. There's one little bit I just wanted to read out about, if is your mind wandering or is it intuition? If you view or sense old emotions from your past while scanning your body, don't dismiss them or think that your mind is wandering. These reminiscences could be hints of what's going on in your body or life right now. Your infinite wisdom will use images and stories that you already know from your history to communicate information that is pertinent now. So sometimes we think, well, that's weird. Why did I get that memory come up from childhood? But there's usually something in there. I've been doing this as I've been going through this book and doing body scans and writing down notes from each chakra. And I've had like weird childhood memories come up that I didn't even remember. Because I think sometimes we suppress things, especially when like certain things happen at certain times that then put in a limiting belief. Because I think something happened to me when I was younger, where when you're a kid before you go to school, a lot of kids say all sorts of things because they are connected more to spirit. And I think I saw spirits, and I have a weird memory of like my granddad. He's not with us anymore, but of him like telling me off or telling me to stop being so. I don't know what the word was that he used, but basically like stop being so weird. So, like, even things like that can make you shut down your gifts because, people think, oh, they're just weird. What are they talking about? Because they don't remember those things. But children come in and very connected to source, and then you go to school and then you're programmed to use your logical mind and not your intuition anymore. So, things like that. It's sometimes if you're doing these scans, it does, start from the root chakra because that's where, your stability and family patterns and stuff come from. So start with your root chakra. But yeah, if you do notice any beliefs or things that pop up, note it down because it all stemmed from somewhere. And until you like recognize that and, integrate it and, you can't work past it until it's been witnessed and recognized. And it's not about running away from who you are. It's, giving it that attention and it served a purpose for its time, but you're ready to move on now. And you will find those of us that are doing the good work. It doesn't end, and that's part of our evolution while we're here is to continuously evolve, recognize the patterns, the polarity of things. We come here to learn the lessons through the different situations and relationships we have in our life, and it's about continuous self-improvement, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that shows how evolved people are becoming. That you want to better yourself, you want a better life. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. And there might be people around you who are used to things being a certain way, and they might be uncomfortable with that. But don't let it stop you from doing the good work. Because if you really want that, whatever that is, whether that's like a life of abundance, life of freedom, a life where you get to make your decisions, it really starts with being honest with yourself and recognizing where those limiting beliefs are and then reframing them to something that is more positive and that's going to be more beneficial for you. Because from then changing our beliefs, you can then make new intentions. And then from those new intentions, you'll then start to get the willpower to put them into action. So yeah, I hope this has helped in any way possible. If you have any like subjects you'd like me to talk about, because I write ideas down all the time, things that if like I've had to work through, that's then helped me. Whatever that is, if you have any ideas or things that you're struggling with or any problems you're having in your life that you would like help with, put it in the comments and I'll try and like, you know, write some things down about that, because yeah, I love writing and learning and sharing, and I hope this helps in any way. So yeah, I hope you're good, and until next time, thank you. Bye.